Hi everybody and welcome to another After Effects tutorial. My name is Eitan and today I will be showing you some extreme color grading. So we'll go from something sort of like that into something sort of like that. Okay, so we can see the transition there. I'm just going to be showing you how to actually make the footage look like that from that, but this is really just going to cover some more techniques that you may not have used as much, at least when color grading. So let's get started. Drag your footage into a new composition. So there we just have our clouds and drag on curves. Okay, so we're just going to drag them both up and then make this one make sort of a slow curve down, stay down around here, pretty low, and then sort of shoot back up at the end. You just want to get that nice, soft area in the clouds there. The colors don't matter. We'll be fixing all that later. Okay, so we've got a little stuff I like going on there in the clouds, sort of darkening it up. I can even go a little darker with that, and then sort of shooting it up to keep the sky close to where it was. Now what we're going to do is throw this thing in black and white. So just you can drag the preset black and white on there, and then this is where you can sort of change your black and white a little by adjusting specific parameters of this. But I'm pretty satisfied with mine, so we will continue. So the next step what I'm going to do is kind of enhance this little speck thing that I think it was originally black, and just in the inversion it turned white, but I like having the idea of sort of a sun-like thing there. So what I'm going to do is make a new solid, make it white or something bright, then turn off that layer, but still select it, and you can sort of hold down here until you get that ellipse tool, and then just make a little ellipse in the general area that you want it. We can sort of move that around as we like. You can move the individual points if you want to make it a little bigger, and the shape doesn't actually matter if it's perfect, because what we're going to do, I know it's kind of lopsided there, but we're going to feather it, just feather it out a ton. And so that's looking pretty good. And now what we're going to do is add on an adjustment layer, and I'm going to put it in between the two. And on here, I'm going to add the smart blur. So this is going to take a while. This is kind of one of the slower effects, but here, now that it's on there, it's just cleaned up a few things that were a little less smooth before. So it's just looking a little cleaner, I guess. Okay, so, and I'm just going to name these layers so it makes more sense what I'm doing. So I'm going to call this layer just clouds. I'm going to call this layer blur, and I'm going to call this sun. Perfect. So now before we do anything else, I'm going to pre-compose all these layers except for the sun layer. And this will just speed things up a little. So now we have this pre-comp, and the next thing I'm going to do is add another solid. So this one's going to be black. Okay, and you'll want your ellipse tool, and then just make a big circle. There you go, and invert it. Now press F to feather it, and feather it just about as much as it gets. Then go back into your mask properties and expand the mask a little bit until it looks about good. That's a bit too much. Should just darken the edges a little bit and focus the viewer into these really cool, well, now really cool looking clouds. So now I'm going to I'll name this vignette. Perfect. So fancy. Vignette. Okay. And now add an adjustment layer and sort of throw that on just under the sun. And now you're going to add a colorama effect. There we go. And just sort of drag that on there. Okay. Now it's going to look kind of completely crazy. Yep, there we go. It looks completely crazy. But that is perfectly okay. What we're going to do now is use the preset palette to pick something along the lines of Golden 1. I like this preset. And it's creating this sort of glowy, dreamy atmosphere. And then, just because this one doesn't work, I'm going to sort of get rid of it. That was that color over there. And maybe this one too. There we go. Just sort of brightening up the side. And we need some sort of a detail over there. I'll change that a little bit just to define it. Make it a little different. And I'll make this color, I guess, a little darker. Not quite the same as the other one. Maybe even on the red side. No, that doesn't look so great. Well, we'll drag it here and then turn that down. There we go. That looks pretty good. And so now we have a very dramatic orangish sky with these dramatic clouds. So I'm going to call this colorization. Just colorama. And then I think it needs another curves. So I'll add that. I'll call this CC2. Curves, drag that on there, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of contrast, then go into the red channel, you can really do whatever you want with this. There are a lot of options. Cloud footage is so cool because here it looks like it could be like a waterfall if we make it like on the bluer side, and then yeah, you can do a lot with this. But anyway, we'll take it back to how it was, and I'm going to bring down the green a little. Okay, and now this vignette is sort of looking like a bit much, so we'll just sort of ease off it a little bit. So, now that we have this vignette fixed a little bit, you can still probably smooth that out a little more, but it's okay. We'll add our last step, which is going to be a glow, and you can put this on any of the adjustment layers, but I'll make a new one just for the heck of it. Call it glow. Now you can really use any type of glow for this. I'm going to use just a built-in glow, but there are nicer glows you can get. So the trick here is just huge radius, soft white. And we're getting that really bright sun look. I might actually bring this vignette up to the top above a lot of this color correction. Vignette's above that. That way it won't be affected as much by some of this extreme color correction. Okay, there we go. So you can play with this. Obviously, I got sort of a different result, but it's still similar, and both are cool. This is a little bit on the higher key side. This is really, the sun is a more prominent thing here, and this was a little lower contrast, lower overall. But both came from the same image, which originally looked completely different from at all what we made it look like. So that is pretty cool. That's it for the tutorial. So if you liked it, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will try to get back to you. So thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something.